The DJ Roundtable Show is live. It's the DJ Roundtable Show. Tell another DJ about the show. Please subscribe.
It is Tuesday night. It is 8 o'clock. Do you know where your DJ's at? I know where I'm at. I'm here with you. It is another DJ Roundtable. As always, glad you're here. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Sit down, have a drink, relax, take your shoes off, enjoy the company of everyone here. We have three DJs. Hopefully we get a couple more in here. I know one is on a conference call with a customer. And hopefully we get some more coming in. You know, never know who comes in. As always, it's great having them here and sharing their information and knowledge and talking about, you know, topics that are important to people and also are fun to talk about. And if you're over on the tubes, if you're watching this on YouTube, do me a favor. Make sure that you hit the like button, so thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon. And then do one more thing. Share the video. It's not a hard thing to do. And I also want to see you guys chat. You guys talk a little bit. Oh, Dwayne, we just lost Dwayne. Here comes Joe. We lose Dwayne, we get Joe.
We get Joe.
Joe's coming in. Technology, you gotta love it. There's Joe. We just lost Dwayne. We'll give him a second or two to come back in.
Joe.
Yep, you're Joe. We just lost Dwayne. Hopefully we'll get Dwayne back here in a second or so. And I see Fred. How you doing, sir? I'm glad to see that you're there. We all got the Greek alphabet in the show. There you go. Yeah. Audio visual theta is part up. There comes Dwayne back. There he is. Can't let the hitman go without, you know. And if you're watching us over on YouTube, couple quick things. First thing first, other shows. Don't forget, we have Cue It Up. We have the leader of the pack there. Him and his partner, Mikey Mike, over at Tearing It Up on Thursday nights on YouTube. We also have the DJ Biz School with Sean. He's got some videos he's been working on. We were talking last week. He's always busy. And, of course, you know, I'm always dropping some videos here and there. Not only to show here, but I just dropped another video over on the tubes about a new toy I got. Nice little toy. So if you get a chance to go take a look at it, go check it out. If you're looking for some stuff, I'm always, you know, buying stuff, and I'm always opening boxes up. So you never know what I have. I got some more stuff. And speaking of stuff for sale, we got two fellow DJs. Joe, with his command center, with his nice, neat, beautiful audio visual theta. If you want to step up your game, you want to have that cool look without breaking the bank. Again, it's not cheap. Cheap stuff is not good. Good stuff is not cheap. But if you don't want to break the bank and you want something really cool, check it out. Link down below for that one. The other thing also, over on Sean has a website. Link will be down below. I forgot to put a link in for last week. I got to fix that. Link down below for that. He has a special deal. He's also shared with me a few pictures, and he should have the first units in stock very soon.
This week.
He's going to have the first units in stock.
I'm super excited.
Black mirror.
I'm so excited.
It's got a little mirror cover around where your tablet goes into. I was looking at pictures of them, like, I want a white one. I got to talk to the boss some more. I'm like, I want to do this. But if you're looking for a photo booth, $16.95. It's introductory price for usually $19.95 for these units. $16.95, $300 off, and also 1-year warranty. Shipped from the U.S., shipped from Georgia. He's bringing it to his house basically, and shipping from where he's at. So if you're looking for a photo booth, you want to have that $1,700 plus tax and whatever else. You got a nice photo booth. You put a tablet in there, you get yourself started. You can charge, $300, $400, $500 a gig starting price. Add in more things down the road, and Sean will help you grow your photo booth business with accessories. He will tell you what to get, what not to get, and also you can pick his brain. Say, hey, what printer should I get? Where should I get props from? Should I go to Amazon and get props? Should I go to the party store and get props? Should I go to where should I get props from? Sean will help you with that. I think he's frozen, but
Oh,
he will help you with that. He will help you figure out what you need to get yourself going and launch your photo booth business, and also make sure that you're going to be profitable with your business. Because again, you're not doing it for charity; you're doing it to make money. And Chris, he has some pictures up behind him of his a couple pictures up of his great little golf course he has going there. He has that in New York. And I'm sure if you want to add that to your business and you're not in his market because he's got a market area, I'm sure you can help Chris and ask Chris, like, hey, Chris, how did you get this? Where's it from? What's the name of it? And
yeah, I
again,
can hook
you
you
always
up.
add
Absolutely.
things. Add things, make money. Speaking of making money and so forth, so on, again, Thursday nights, cue it up. Great information over there. And last week had some great stuff going on. But it's always fun things when you guys all talk, especially in chat. And Alpha Visual Theta and now Beta Booth. Yep, you get the photo booth and also the Alpha Visual Theta. You spend a few bucks, you can have a real cool looking setup. And that little command booth, that little command center, great for ceremonies. So if you want to step up your game for ceremonies, not just have a little table on a back of a speaker stand, you want to really make it a sharp look, or for cocktail, or you're doing karaoke somewhere. Great system to do that with. Reach out to Joe. So with all the commercials beside, and again, I, we're doing this because of the fact that again they have businesses like everyone else, and we want to help them out. They're friends of ours. We want to make sure that they get hopefully some business off of this, but also like picking their brains, and they have tons of information and tons of time in the business and DJing. So this is one of the things I know that our other friends Start to Spin. They were talking about what's going on, Adrian? They were talking about doing two-way cabinets, point source tops versus an array system, line array, column array, compact column array, whatever you want to call it. We're going to call it a bunch of different names. Don't worry about it. If you're talking about Evolve 50 versus a regular speaker with a tweeter on top and a woofer down below, that's what we're talking about. And it got me thinking that I have a mix of both. I still like my JBL PRX, which I can use for a while. I got to blow dust off those puppies. Uh, I am going to use this weekend my DBs because I have a big wedding on Saturday. And then next weekend I have two big weddings. So they're going to get DBs again. And I have RCFs, I have Maui 5s, but I just added from Alpha Theta, I got a set of the Wave 8 speakers that I wanted for certain things for cocktail, especially the wireless system, battery operated, and my K-Array line array. It's a long name. K-Array line array blue line Sennheiser speaker decided to have a bad cable internally. I had to take it in. They fixed it. I gotta go grab it tomorrow. But that speaker I've had, that's what started me down the path of line arrays. So I wanted to go to you guys, and I know some of us, not all of us, I know Chris, I don't think Chris has any line arrays. But I wanted to ask you guys on, a difference between an array and a two-way cabinet. And when do you use an array? When do you feel an array is best for, versus a two-way cabinet? Do you feel a two-way cabinet is better for bigger environments, or can you use an array for a bigger environment? I personally have done weddings with two J8s, 260 people, and the dance floor is pretty warm. Would I say it's pounding bass, kicking in the chest, your ears are bleeding sound levels? No, I would never say that, nor do I want that for the weddings I do. But for covering speeches, covering talking, covering anything, more than enough sound to cover a very large room. And I was very impressed. And I was not running them very hot. I think I saw the little red light blink once or twice every so often. Um, I felt that there was not overdriving the speakers. I tend to run stuff as clean as possible, but when you run an array and you look at an array, it does things differently in a two-way cabinet because arrays are wider casts. Usually arrays usually don't have a tweeter because they have full range drivers. They have a subwoofer versus a woofer. And again, they operate differently from a standard two-way cabinet. So I wanted to ask everyone, and I know Chris doesn't have an array, but I'm going to start with Chris first because the fact that have you worked with any arrays, any of the compact arrays, the line arrays, the Evolve 50s, and so forth? And if you have, you haven't?
I have not used the Evolves. I worked with one system, and it was okay for what it was. It was literally a small cocktail hour, and wasn't anything special. The only gripe I had is the Bluetooth allowed anyone to connect to it. So there was no security to where it's always in the receive mode when nothing is connected to it. So I think it needs to be reinitiated. You could turn it off and on. And that way, no one can overtake when you accidentally leave that volume knob turned up for the Bluetooth. So I think that was the only drawback. I don't remember what system it was. But yeah, that was the only drawback to that. I know there's some great units out there. Everyone's talking about the Maui, all those models in that. With the Maui 5 Go, the Maui
The 28s,
G44, something like
the 44s, yeah.
yep, and stuff. But I seem to be when I did some research and looking at the Evolve 70 and 90, the EV lines that look pretty impressive, and some people on this group, someone else who does not like EV has been talking quite bad of it, and unfortunately I did not get a chance to hear it in person and live, but would definitely like to, um, and I would definitely look to get something.
I could tell you that, I've been places that have had friends DJing with Evolve 50s, and they're on par to my J8s. Very impressive speaker. I like the RCF sound better than the EVs. Again, it's personal preference. Nothing wrong with EVs whatsoever. If you have EVs, if you have QSC, whatever you have for either a two-way or array, it's fine. You're happy with it. But one of the things, again, you have not been fully immersed into the array world like I have and a few others have. And it's one of the things that when you use a two-way cabinet versus an array, and that's one of the fun things that I had a wedding in Kenosha. I used the Wave 8s outside for a cocktail and dinner in a tented area, and I had the Maui 5s inside for dancing. And the Wave 8s, again, they're very nice, very clean sound speaker. I definitely would recommend them if you're looking for a battery powered speaker. The great thing about the wireless system, easy to connect once you learn how to do it. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but it takes a few seconds to do. Worked very well. I had it first time using it probably 50, 60 feet away from where I was at the first time, and this last time in Kenosha, I was probably maybe 15 feet away from the first unit that receives a signal. And I would definitely would say that for speaker wise, quality, the sound quality on it was really good. Now, a two-way cabin is going to have more throw to it than an array, and someone can say, well, why didn't I just use arrays outside and inside? I wanted to try the wireless system. I wanted something battery operated. And yeah, the Maui 5s are battery operated. Yes, I could do wireless. I do it quite a bit. But I wanted to try these speakers out. And I see use for those speakers, especially outside. Outside arrays do pretty decent, but they also kind of, they don't cover a large area. They don't have the throw like a two-way cabinet. So having the right tool for the right place is always important. If I was doing an outdoor event, and I wasn't my dance floor was huge. I'm trying to cover a large area. Then I would use my JBL PRX because that's kind of a long throw, wide area coverage. Versus a couple of events I've done outside, the dance floor's right there. We're covering a small area outside and covering a larger area. Like the first time I used it, I was covering inside of a pole barn. And when I say pole barn, it holds three large bus RVs, so big diesel push bus RVs. It has three bays for that, plus other stuff in there, and they have events inside this pole barn. And so I'm throwing distance between each one, and I wanted to cover nicely the area. And I thought the Maui fives would get a little lost just because of the volume of the area. And I'm not gonna put another set of J8s up there. It's just, it's like, okay, no, I don't need that. So I wanted to try them, and it worked out really, really fantastic. Sound was great. Customer was happy. They thought it was fantastic sound. But it's understanding when and where to use stuff. And line arrays, again, there's good parts and there's bad parts. Like anything, there's no perfect tool. If everything's a nail, then the only tool is a hammer you have, then you're just going to pound everything. You're going to pound bolts. You're going to pound this. You're going to pound that. So not everything is a nail, and your only tool is not a hammer. You have other tools in your toolbox. And you need to look at that and go, okay, fine, great. This is a bolt. This is a screw. This is this. I can use other tools. So Chris, I'm going to go back to you real quickly on it. Would you think about getting array speakers in the not too distant future, or?
Oh, I would definitely. I know the Maui 44 G2s have been really impressive. I'd probably consider getting that to do really smaller events, but for something bigger, I think I would do the 90s from EV myself, just to replace
the 44s are
JBLs.
The 44 on the LD, if I remember correctly, is a 15-inch subwoofer, and that will go up against EV70. And I've seen some people say the 44 they like more than Evolve 70. Always do your homework.
I would always listen to them myself in a live person in a venue that I'm familiar with. I would probably rent it first, see how it sounds with the number of people, and literally play around to see how I wanted to sound. I've always been debating recently on even getting RCF's column speakers that they have, and pairing that with a different sub or something from RCF as well for a sub.
Oh yeah, the NX14, kind of like what Matt does. He has a top, and then he uses acoustic subs. Yeah, you could do that. You could very easily do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go over to Dwayne. I know Dwayne has a pair of Harbinger arrays, and Harbinger arrays you guys haven't saw last year on the shootout at the Boston Sound. Oh God, I can't think of it now. They had the arrays, and they rated the Harbinger array very, very highly, actually higher than a few other brands. So they did it in a shootout, and they tried to be as neutral as possible. And most of the DJs were picking out the Harbinger arrays. So Dwayne has that. So Dwayne, what do you like more using? What if you have a choice, all things being equal, what do you feel is better for you? Do you feel array is better, or you feel a two-way cabinet? Because I know you have both.
If you was asking me for my opinion,
Hmm.
definitely I would go with the Conmar Rays because they're lighter. That's the only reason I'll go with them. But it depends. But as far as the way that I would use them, it depends on the event because it's like if you need sound to travel, definitely go with the point system because they'll throw and it'll be louder. Or if you do like a high school event where you want the sound to feel give you that club sound, go with the regular tops. But with the Conmar Rays, I like them for a lot of my events because I do a lot of church events or events for older people. And with the Conmar Rays, you can still get a loud sound, but it doesn't hit you in your face, and you can still compensate. So that's what I really like about the Conmar Rays because I can make it loud enough for the dance floor, but not so loud that you can't compensate around, on the outlining areas. So that's how I would look at it. So, but I still sometimes I still bring my subwoofer and put it under my booth to give it that extra um punch.
So the two-way cabinets that you have, what size two-way cabinets do you have, and what brand?
12-inch EV 200 ELX,
Okay, so
and
a
then I
good
have the
speaker,
Behringer 12s.
a good speaker, and a good two-way, and then you like the comm arrays or the line array from basically from Guitar Center. And
Mhm.
Adrian reminded me it's Harvest Sound. I couldn't remember the name of it because now it's Harvest Sound's done, and now they have two different ones. Now they're doing two different things. Big big brouhaha over that stuff, but that's beside the point. Again, they when they lined up all these speakers and they tested them, they said, "Hey, you guys tell us what you feel is best." They hand behind a curtain, and then all of a sudden, when they dropped the curtain, I know there was a lot of DJs who were like dumbfounded, like Harbinger. Harbinger had great speakers. I think that the thing with Harbinger is the fact that Guitar Center is investing money into the brand to try and get it on par to others. And because it's a house brand, there's no middleman, so they can keep the price down and put good quality stuff in there. Is it this high end quality stuff? No, it's not high end quality stuff, but it is good quality stuff for a nice, good, clean, basic array. The other thing also is that when you get into some of the arrays, I believe the 44, I know the QSC, and there's a few others. They actually have separate tweeters in that top part of the column, and those tweeters will help you throw sound further. So, like the Harbinger, my Maui 5s, the RCFs, they don't have tweeters in them. And again, after a while, you do have a little bit of a ending of sound just because they're full range speakers. They're not designed for high throw. They're designed for a wide cast. And that's a great thing that Dwayne also brought up is that people have conversations. So when you're at a social event like a wedding or a birthday party or something like that, you're going to get a nice sound that people are going to feel very pleasant about, not feel like they're being hit in the back of the head with sound and getting knocked out cold. So Dwayne, would you give a thumbs up to the arrays then over the two-way in most events you do, or would you say it's 50-50 between the two-way cabin and an array?
Um, if I had to pick one or the other to do an event, and both of them can handle it, I'll do the raise only because again, I don't feel like carrying that extra weight, and that's less room in my car too, and it's easier to set up. Just take the pieces out and then plug, and then you're done. And then also my arrays have Bluetooth, so I can Bluetooth them. And then with the Harbingers, they have a smart link. So if I have to put one speaker near me and the other one far off, I can just smart link it and just control the volume off on the speaker next to me. So there's other features that I like, but at the same time, my EVs, I also got the app that goes with it, so I can also do the same thing as well. But I just don't have the Bluetooth. So I would say the column arrays, I'll pick those because it's of the weight limit.
It's more or less less weight, more of a compact package, and also easier to handle than a two-way cabinet, and you know speaker stands and so forth. Which the one thing is that using the two-way speakers, I had to remember. Because I always have in my van the speaker stands, and I have the crank up ones, so they actually have a little handle, and you got to crank them up. So I got to remember to grab the handle, which for a long time I did, and past couple times I've used it, it's like, oh wait, hold on, I got to grab the handle too to crank up the speakers. So it's something I have not been really used a lot two way. I've used the arrays for quite a while, and again, I'm very much in love with the arrays. So 99% of the stuff I do, it's an array set, and because I have multiple arrays too. And Dwayne, would you add to your arrays? Would you get like a bigger set down the road,
Yeah,
or yeah?
yeah, I definitely, because I would like to get something that can handle a bigger crowd. So therefore, I wouldn't have to necessarily bring the EVs. I could still keep the kind of, the array kind of sound, but get something that's bigger that'll pop a little bit or more.
I
It's
know,
coming.
I know. Jeff's unfortunately not here, but Jeff runs the Maui 28s. And if I remember correctly off the top of my head, I think they're a dual 10-inch woofer system, if I remember correctly. And he loves them for his events. The 44s, they have a huge woofer, and they're big and heavy, just like those the 70s and 90s from EV. So it always one of the things like if you got a 70 or 90 out there, tell us in the chat or tell us down below. What do you think of a 70 or 90? Or do you have a 50 and you're going to get a 70 or 90 down the road? Tell us. You tell us what you think what you think about it. So the next person I can go to is actually Joe. Joe, I know you got some arrays because I've seen your pictures of it, and we've talked about it a little bit before. Uh, what do you prefer more? What do you prefer to use more? I know if you had the same event, everything's equal, same room, same everything between the two of them. What do you kind of lean more toward? Do you lean more toward a two-way cabinet subwoofer, or do you go more toward the array side of things? Which you feel is a better fit for you?
Great question. If it's the same room, I would probably go with the arrays. Because I come from an old school mentality. Amplifiers will always be better sound. It's almost like analog versus digital. It's two different sounds. Wood versus, ceramic, plastic speakers. They all have different sounds. I was this close to buying the QSCs, but what turned me off is the fact that they had too many highs. I mean, after about 3 or 4 hours, you would just get, how would I say it, ear ringing, and most of your guests would kind of like disappear because it was just too ear piercing. Um, with the line arrays, basically they took the same concept as the concerts where you have speakers and you can see them like this, right? Half moon. And the reason for that is because they're positioned at certain degrees. They hit people in the front, middle, back, and all the way up in the bleachers or concerts or so on forth. So they kind of took that same technology. I do like the fact that the RCFs have the ability to basically have a clean sound. It doesn't matter if you're like 10 feet away, all the way to 75 feet away. It's going to sound uniform. You're not going to be blasting the people in the front so the people in the back can hear. So it's kind of uniform to a certain degree. And then they also have basically the what they call the degrees. And I guess you have a 90-degree dispersion, 120-degree, 10-degree dispersion for different cabinets. Depends on which ones you get. So I've heard the EVs. I wasn't really impressed. They were to me, they were kind of missing more of the high end. And let me just kind of explain. It just depends on your target audience, because when you're doing a lot of emceeing, you kind of want that horn. And that's one of the reasons that I basically have the small NX, what do they call it, NX14A. That's a new one that RCF came out with. So it has two 6-inch or 8-inch speakers and a horn inside in the middle. So you're kind of getting the both of both worlds, but you're not. It's not your line array where it's basically angled a certain position, because if you take it apart, you can see the speakers the way they have them, slightly off axis. Um, that's just my perspective. It just depends. And then I have the 8004s, which is the 18-inch woofers, and the NX 14, what is it, NX24s, which is a larger base line array for more power. So it just depends on the how many people are going to be there. But overall, I think a lot of people should just think, if I'm going to be playing loud music, or my client doesn't want to hear, all the blaring and the high frequencies, you're kind of better off with going with, some of the even some of the line arrays, because I've heard the Maui. I was impressed. What was the other one that came out with a line array? RCF, EV, they're okay. The other one that came out with a little line array is a QSC, and
USC
then
has them. There's tons of line
American
arrays
DJ.
out there. There's even some of the new
Yeah,
companies.
American DJ came out with theirs too. Go
Uh,
ahead.
there's some of the entry level price
DB
ones.
sounds.
There's the entry level
Yeah.
price ones that are now out there. James King, he has a YouTube channel, and he's been doing basically head to head of the lower price speakers, and he's been digging them a lot. They're speakers
Hmm.
from Rockville and a few other companies. I think he had Harbinger. He was doing a shootout the other day. He put a video up, and I can't remember the third brand. It's another Chinese brand speaker. Kind of looks like the RCF. The it kind of looks like the Evox 12. Kind of looks like it, but it's not.
Hmm.
It doesn't. It has a speaker pole between the top and the bottom half versus having that center column which has a cable built into it. Or no, it has a cable built into it. It's a different way, but it looks like a speaker pole, like the RCF, the DB, the few brands. They have a speaker, basically a sub pole between the top half and the bottom half, and you run a speak
Hmm.
on cable behind, kind of like running a passive speaker. The top half's passive, and you run in there, and
Right.
those other speakers, the columns they did basically build on that. It's interesting, and again, I have not heard the Rockville. I know the Rockville, the top part of the Rockville, you can take it and turn off access. You can turn it on the axis of I want to say up to 90 degrees, if I remember correctly. You
Hmm.
can take the top and turn it your left to right
Mhm.
to direct sound, and then the bottom part of the unit, the speakers are straight. So there's some interesting technology, and there's a lot of brands out there that, are there's more and more brands coming. But the QSC, you're saying that it's too bright. I've heard that from some people that the horn on that, the tweeter, is more aggressive,
They emphasize more on the high end.
and the drivers below that, I want to say there's only like three drivers, so it doesn't have the
Hmm.
spread like a Maui 5 has four, a G28 has more, G44 has more. The Evoc series from RCF, either a J8 or Evoc 8 or Evoc 12, they have more drivers. So there's a reason why you want a little more drivers to help harsh down that brightness of the tweeter, and having
Hmm.
that piercing sound can be hard, and that's why two-way cabinets do have that problem with having a tweeter, because you are focusing sound in a certain direction. But it all boils down to also how you EQ it, what kind of room. There's a lot of variables there.
Yeah,
But
the thing now about the RCFs, but not to cut you off, is the fact that you can adjust the pole and the height.
mhm,
Some of these other speakers, they're fixed, like the Evolves. You put it on the, what do you call it? The pedestal, the speaker, the base, and that's it. You really don't have the ability to adjust it. You have the Bose system, same thing. I think they have the 18s and the 32s. What they did is they basically, rather than have a pole, they have a stick in between, but there's no woofers in there, but it looks like there's speakers in there. But in actuality, when you put the next section on top to get that height, that's where your speakers are. In the middle, it's just a dumb fill.
Well,
You don't really have the ability to adjust that.
if you go to the 32 unit, that speaker's almost through the whole entire unit itself.
Right.
So there's much more drivers in the 32. That's why the bass unit's off to the side versus in the 16 and so forth, the bass unit's on the bottom. So Bose does things
Yeah.
totally different. And the thing with Bose, they also have drivers facing left and right and up and down because Bose is very spatial. They want to have this wall of sound that hits you. And that's the thing with Bose. When Dr. Bose, from his original speakers all the way up to the most current speakers, and unfortunately, Dr. Bose is long gone.
Oh, the 802s.
Yep. When the reason why he came with those speakers is because he bought speakers. He can close his eyes and point where the speakers are at. That's how he started his speaker company. And Dr. Bose, being an MIT professor, came up with these speakers and started making speakers. And that's where Bose started from him. He, again, unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago, but he had a very interesting philosophy on sound. And Bose are a little different than a normal line array. And that's because they have speakers facing every direction to try and give you that spatial fill of sound. Unfortunately, with Bose, and I've heard it plenty of times, outside they don't have legs. So once you get further away, it kind of drops off fairly quickly because there's too many different directions for the sound. It needs walls, it needs a ceiling, it needs a floor to bounce the sound off of. Versus like an RCF or Evolve or one of the other arrays, the speakers are all in line, they're all facing the same way. Now, usually most arrays are about 100 and between 105 to 120, 130 degree dispersion. When you get into the Bose, they're 180 degree dispersion. So you have it come back pretty far back onto you. And that's why when I see DJs have the speakers right next to their booth, they have it right next to them. I'm like, that's really harsh on the ears, man. Move them out, move them out, move them out. I always tell people, move out your speakers. Dwayne, I want to go back to you really quickly with the Harbingers. Do you like how the sound is with your voice, nice warm sound? Or do you feel that you need a tweeter, that Harbinger should put a tweeter in there and maybe get a little more higher pitch to it?
I thought it sounded all right. Yeah, but see, I don't have anything to compare it to, because it's just like for a long time I had the Behringers. I didn't really hear a difference until I borrowed my friend's EV speakers, and I actually heard the difference because I can hear it side by side. So the Harbingers, I had to go with what was in my budget at that time, and that was the best sounding one. I knew I didn't want to go with Behringer, and it was another one that was cheaper that they all had like a muddy sound. So my Harbingers was the one that sounded good. And also you don't get a lot of feedback, not unless you standing right next to the array, and then it's like the middle part where you get the feedback if you put the mic right next to it. And also that third array speaker that you're trying to think of is called the Titan array.
Yeah.
It's the white one. No, that's the one
from Rockville. There's another one. There's a black one. He has.
Oh, the S1503.
I can't remember what brand it is. It's an off-brand Chinese brand that he has in the video. I'm like, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. So if you're looking for something and you want to step up, what you have now, and you want to get into an array, there's some budget arrays out there that might, again, I have not heard them personally. They might go up against some of the other arrays, and that would be very interesting. Have a shootout between, like those speakers and the DBs, which are like $3,300 each. I paid for, so it would be
and those speakers.
RCFs.
And then those speakers run, I think it was like, was it 500? And then I know Rockville was 600, and then the Harbingers were like 760 or something like that, but I think they came down because I think Alto came out with one. So I think and Alto was cheaper than the Harbinger, so I think that's why Harbinger's prices have dipped a little bit.
Well,
And one last thing that I'd like
I-
to mention, buddy, is the support of whatever speaker you purchase. I know RCF, the amplifier went out on me, called them up, warranty repair, sent it out, got it back in about a week. So that's one thing, something to consider when you're buying speakers, is what's the support like? You spend so much money on this thing, and then now you're calling, just like, I want to say some Pioneer's probably got the worst support of all the manufacturers, but that's another story. But anyway, speakers should have some type of support when you're looking at them.
I think DJ Brentley can he ran into the problems with unfortunately Alpha Theta with support for his controller, and we're gonna get to DJ Brentley in just a little bit because I have a separate question for him. But I want to go to Sean. Sean, what about you? Do you have a raise or do you just have two-way cabinets?
Yeah, I've had several arrays. I've had the Maui's, I've had the Harbingers, had some RCF J8s. Um, I like my cabinets.
You
My
like
cabinets with some subs. I like the base of it. Nothing wrong with the arrays, and they're good for certain jobs, small gigs. I just preference to my sound. I like the bass out of a two-way cabinet with some 18s. I do like though the set Joe is referring to. That is definitely going to probably be my next set. Those RCFs are very nice, and they are definitely the closest column speaker with the base of a two-way system because they have the separate 18-inch subs on them.
Yeah, again, I think that's what one of the systems that Matt has is the RCF top array, and he puts on top of his L Acoustics dual 18 subs because he likes having people's ears bleeding. I love Matt, but dual 18 subs, man, that's got hit hard. You having four 18-inch subs at an event, that's got to be hard hitting. But
A lot of setup too.
oh yeah, he always has great setups. Matt always has top. Even though the one he put today, he had I think Icoa subs and tops, and he had two Mackie Thump Goes on sticks with wireless speaker system. He was running wireless, and he was filling the area outside for outside event. I want to say it was a wedding, and that right there is it's pretty cool. Wireless
Some
system,
goes are trash.
what is?
Thump goes are trash. I hate that is like one of the worst sounding speakers I've ever heard out of any of the battery powered options out there. Those little Mackie thumps have the most tinny, awful sound. Matt likes to talk crap all the time about EVs being tinny. Those Mackies are awful.
I've not heard the Mackies, but like before, I know he likes them. I'm not. I don't want to. I've
I'm
not
gonna have
heard
to roll
them,
with
so I can't
Sean on
say.
that. I am gonna have to roll with you on that, Sean.
It's,
Everse versus Mackie Thump Go. Everse, hands down, any day of the week.
I got the JBL. I'm rocking the JBL and hand over fist, and it's about the same price as the Mackies. The Mackie, it lacks so much in sound. It's awful.
And for me, I traditionally hate EV speakers. Absolutely hate. And this is just my personal, opinion after being around them. They sound too MIDI and too raw, and you have to dial the EQs. If you're not using an actual graph EQ rack or have one built on as part of your X32, you've really got to do some major sweeps on your deck, and then you lose tonality as well as I'm an old school DJ, so if I'm mixing on an EV, I'm used to turning the bass out of my mixing. So like we did in the 80s and 90s when you didn't have stems to take stuff out, I still sweep my bass out. On an EV, if you're already using it and have everything in hand, it sounds terrible. But that's just my 2 cents about EV. But the E-Verse is the only EV item I own.
Again,
I love my EVs. I'm not gonna lie.
different
For the battery
who-
pack, because you can run, power your mics off it. That's the only reason I went to it. For the simplicity of not having one extra component, it was worth it, And they're not the best sounding speakers, but at the same time, it does exactly what I need flawlessly.
Well, like you missed it.
What they were aiming for.
Yeah, you missed it before. I was talking about speakers, and one of the things is I got the Wave 8s, and I'm pretty impressed with the Wave 8s with the sound quality of them. They do have a USB-C port on there. They do not have a barrel port where you could run like a microphone or something like that system on it. But they are very, very clean speaker. They're weather resistant. They're a little bigger than like the EV and a few other brands physically. They have wheels. They have a handle that comes out. They have some cool features on it. And again, the sound quality on it, I'm very impressed with the sound quality. Is it the best sounding speaker in the world? No, but for what I'm using them for, they're pretty good. And they throw because, again, two-way cabinet. But I wanted to get a show of hands here. Who here has EV speakers? Just raise your hand if you have an EV speaker, one or two. So half the people here have EV speakers. So again, EV, I
And
know
the
a lot of people
person
who love EV and people who
was,
don't like EV. Go ahead, Joe.
sorry. I'm sorry, was it had or have now?
Have now. Have currently in their inventory using them.
Okay.
I've got the Everse. It's, not ahead of its time, but it is the best item on the market for functionality, simplicity. I mean, I can't, like, what was it, 2 weeks ago? It was starting to rain on the ceremony. I was able just to pick up my entire rig and walk under a tent or an umbrella, I should say.
I will be getting an Everse. Don't know if I'm going to do 8 or 12. Just haven't decided yet. So
I'd probably go 10.
They only have the 8 and the 12.
I thought they had 10.
No.
No.
I will say this much. The 8 does not have enough low end.
yeah, I can sense that.
But now that I have 1.8, I'm getting another one to match my 1.8. So if I need two, they're paired and it looks proper.
Yep.
Speaking of 8s, you have the Maui 5s, which is an 8-inch woofer for subs. And I've seen some great pictures of some setups. You have the white Mauis.
Yep.
And I know you and I talked a little bit about it, and I know it was one of the things that I used them for at least a third of my weddings, either black or white Maui 5s. Now that you've got to use them for a bit, what do you feel on the Maui 5s? Do you like them for the smaller events, or do you feel that you got something different?
For anything under 100 heads, it is the ideal speaker. Honest to God's truth. Especially at 52 and humping, my Soundtown cabs have Eminence Kappa speakers in them. So the magnets on those things are enormous. So I took what used to be a fairly lightweight cabinet and sub and turned it into a tank. So they're pains in the ass to move for me. And, I pair them with my LD ICOAs and they sound phenomenal together. Like absolutely wonderful. Comparatively speaking, for a couple of 8-inch woofers, they do the job well. They're not blasting anyone out. And some of these venues I've been to recently, like Matt commented on my 1 gig log, that 100 dB, that's a lot of room. I'm like, yeah, I might have 100 dB to play with, and I'm running at 95. What happens when the entire crowd starts screaming? And now the DB reader is going to 110, 120, and I'm getting told to turn it down. And if I can show the venue that it's not me now, and I keep it like the venue I was at this weekend again, I stayed at 96 dB with no peak out of me the entire night. So it helped. For something like that, it kept me within the good graces of the venue and keeps me on their preferred list. And that's before the couple in that scenario, because I'm on the venue's preferred list and abide by the rules of the venue, first and foremost, I follow their policies. Second comes my couple. Whatever they want that fits within that. And I had to let the bride know. She's like, oh, yeah, they did tell me that. I'm like, you won't notice that it's not, they're loud enough, but you're going to realize that it's not a club speaker. And they even made a comment. They're like, your speakers are fine. We don't need anything louder than this. Cool. But when it comes to anything over 100 heads, I honestly, with my white setup, yeah, I want some 18-inch Icoas in white. When they come back on the market, I'm buying a set. I like my sound towns, but pound for pound, I would rather have an 18 if I'm going to hump that kind of weight around. And I always have them as backup subs. But my RCFs, 708 AS2s, are for subs are phenomenal. Like pound for pound, the best sub I own. And I will say when it comes to, enclosed subs, a lot of DJs wouldn't want to do it, but I'm honestly, for my black setup anyway, thinking about going back to passive RCFs. Because the club I work in here, Legends, has passive RCFs. They're 2 steps down from the top of the line. So they're within my price bracket. They were going, and they weren't there. We don't have them set to full volume in the club. We have them with, so they will pump 3/4 of their volume. My HDMI cable kept slipping out of my laptop Friday night from shaking so much. And when I realized how much they paid for the subs and putting in a solid amp with them would basically be about the same price of buying a pair of RCFs with, powered RCFs. And the comparison was night and day. Granted, I love my 708 AS2s. Absolutely love them. But the bump that I was catching this weekend, I'm like, yeah, maybe it's time to. Matt's got it right. I mean, he does have an amp on some of his subs. That's kind of the way to go. You can really get full control of your entire cabinet and what it produces.
Well, the one thing with the amp on the subs, he's running L Acoustics. L Acoustic doesn't have a powered sub that I've seen.
Yeah.
Everything's passive, and they have their own amplifiers, and they have their own DSP unit. So L Acoustics is its own world that you have to.
Oh yeah.
And he has the L Acoustics. He got the set painted white. They are phenomenal, speakers. I've seen L Acoustics. I've heard L Acoustics at a couple of venues. They have some phenomenal push and sound. The clarity on them, the bass hit on them is phenomenal. And I definitely would say if I can get a set of powered L Acoustics, I would look at that for something. But as a passive, I ran passive for a while when I first started the business. And I don't want to go back to an amplifier, make sure the amplifier is overpowering the speaker, running a speak-on cable, and you have stick cables everywhere, and you got to hide them. And then all of a sudden, you go so far.
I get it.
How many of us?
The sound is just so incredible. Like I still, when I'm at Legends, it's like I can feel the bass through every part of me. And that's if I'm in the DJ booth or at the far back wall, 150 feet away from the booth. I can feel the bass hit. It's just night and day.
I never really see a reason for that unless I'm doing some outdoor EDM festivals like that I have to worry about. For a wedding, I love it. And I want to go back to the question I originally asked everyone else here. I'm going to ask you, Brentley, do you like an array more, or do you like a two-way cabinet more? What do you feel if you had the same room, the same area, you had to choose between a two-way cabinet or an array? Which one do you feel is a better fit for what you do?
For what I like to do or what I do, definitely a cabinet with subs. However, as I've been doing my research and I'm looking at the 44Gs more and more, those seem to be the speaker I want to go to. And would it eliminate my, like my ICOAs and all that? Probably not. But more and more of the gigs I'm getting, I'd be better served with that or the G5s. And I would more often than not, I think I'd rather have more power and not need it. And I've run into that a couple times with the G5s where I felt it could have been louder, but no one noticed but me. Like no one complained or anything. But I'm also at that point where maybe I want to give just a little better. And those 44Gs are looking really nice.
Well, the 44s are a huge push. The Maui 5s, again, I would never say that you use in a large, huge room or a
No.
large amount of people. It's kind of, I look at it this way. There's a couple of venues, actually venues this past weekend. The owner of the venue was actually telling me to turn down the bass on the Maui 5s because he's like, I hear the bass in the back. I'm like, you hear the bass in the back? So I just go to the bass on the board on my mixer and just tick down the bass a little bit. It's an 8-inch woofer, but I will tell you, those Maui 5s always impress me. The bass is a good tight hit. And again, it's not going to kick you in the chest. It's not going to make your ears bleed. It's really good on the dance floor. The sound quality, I like the sound on them. They're very rich sounding. The four drivers on top, they are really a good quality speaker. LD puts good products out. The thing is, again, having that for that venue and a few other smaller events, I'll use the Maui 5s. If it's, like I have a wedding this weekend, it's, 180, 190 people. It's a big room. I'm using my DBs because I want to have the bigger sound. And next weekend, I have back-to-back weddings at a venue, and I'm going to have the DBs there all weekend. And the DBs, they have a DSP. You could actually choose for a long throw on them. I've always had it just on standard DSP, but they actually have like I think it's 5 or 6 stage DB, 5 or 6 stage DSP on it. But as someone who again had all two-way cabinets, and there's actually a video on YouTube. I showed it to Dwayne. I was going back in time with Dwayne last week. We were sitting here, and I showed him a video on my channel going back to one of my commercials, and I have a 3-way JBL PRX, and I have Eons, and I have JRX and stuff like that. And having two-way cabinets for a long time and going to the arrays, I feel the arrays are much more easier to deal with because I'm not dealing with as many cables and I'm not dealing with all the gobbledygook of having a two-way cabinet and then speaker stands and then running other stuff. But I'm glad you're very happy with the arrays. And I think that, again, if you're out there looking at stuff, I will never tell you to get rid of all the speakers because you can see Joe right there. Again, Joe likes arrays. I like arrays. Joe still has two-way cabinets there. He still has subwoofers. You heard Brentley. He loves the Maui 5s for smaller events. It keeps him behaving, which, again, that's the way I look at the Maui 5s. I can't be overly loud with those. Even though the venue owner said I was hitting bass really hard with them. I'm like, okay, I'll turn down bass a little bit, Yeah. Sean is all in on two-way cabinets and a subwoofer or a two-way cabinet for an event. Dwayne has a mix. And Chris eventually will get an array somewhere, and he will add that to his repertoire. But if you're out there, what do you feel? Are you more of an array person? Or you're more of a two-way person, or do you just want to do one thing? Like, hey, I just do this. What's your brand of speaker? And also, I'm going to ask one more question there for you guys out there in in YouTube and so forth. What do you prefer? What do you want to have? What would you want to get? Would you get some arrays? Have you heard arrays? Have you heard these bargain arrays that again James King is talking about on his channel? He's got he's doing a bunch of shootouts with the bargain arrays. Would you get one of those? Would you try that? And I've seen people get them. They like them. So maybe you might want to do that. And I have Adrian here. He says he has EV and he's good with his boxes. That's never a bad time to upgrade either. You can always upgrade. Always add more toys to the box, add more tools to a toolbox. I don't know any guy who would walk into a tool store and say, nah, I don't want to get anything. They're always like, oh, hey, look, a screwdriver set. I have 4 screwdriver sets. I'll add some more. I need these. We're always looking for improving stuff, and you should always improve what you have. You're happy with what you have, that's great. but always look at ad because you want more tools. You can service more people and do more things. Plus, carrying up a two-way cabinet up a flight of stairs versus a Maui 5, I can tell you from a fact, for one of the places I deal with for a party for one of my friends, yeah, it's basically 2 stories you're going up to the stairs and two-way cabinet. I did that the first like one or two of his parties. After that, it's been a raise. And I did the Maui 5s, did one, and I do two. And I will tell you, the Maui 5s are much easier to go up the stairs than it is a two-way cabinet. So that right there is a fun part. Again, always look at to improve. So tonight, again, I appreciate everyone's here and everyone's comments and input, and I'm glad everyone got in. I'm glad Brentley finally showed up. You didn't have a car show tonight. It's always good hearing it.
No car shows, no gigs, no volleyball games, just me and a couple of meetings. That's it.
There you go. But also no bacon cheeseburger from your car show place.
I'm okay.
You okay?
Had the Crooked Pint for dinner tonight. Got myself a Lucy burger stuffed with cheese. I'm good.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Come on. I'm still in dad in business meeting mode here. I've got the button up on.
Look at the hair too, man. Slick.
Wait. The tattoos in the back of the hand kind of give it away.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at me, you don't really notice them until you actually get close.
I got a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
What kind of XLR cables do you use to go from your unit to your speakers?
What
Are you
brand?
buying a specific brand?
Hosa Edge is what I'm using. Never failed.
My black setups are all NLFX. My white setups I got on Amazon because at the time I bought my cabling for white, NLFX didn't have any in stock or didn't have any ready to go, and I needed some. So I just went to Amazon and bought a whole crap ton.
I got Sweetwater. I'm very happy with Sweetwater's cables. I've some was it Gig Hog cables?
Big Hog?
Hog ones.
Big Hog's what I have.
They're thick.
Yeah.
They are.
They're thick.
And then I have my white cables for my white RCF is from a company called Sari Cables in California. They custom make cables. Very expensive, very high quality though. And it's like anything else. What do you want to spend money on? Do you want to just get basic? Okay, Amazon or Guitar Center. But if you want to spend a few more money, hey, you know what? Spend a few bucks, get something that's a little better quality. NFLX Pro, those guys right there. If you talk to Ben Stoll,
I gotta call them myself.
Custom make cables. Yeah,
I gotta call him about some rack stuff. So
there you go.
The Orchard.
Yeah, give him a call.
Cabling, I've been buying Cable Matters from Amazon, and I like them. So far, I haven't had a single one fail. Otherwise, I'm using the Hosa Edge series. Love it. It's got the Northrop connectors on them. Never failed, never broke any. Solid.
That's the important stuff. So with that said, we're going to go out tonight, and I'm actually going to have, since Brentley hasn't been on for the past couple weeks, I'm going to let him take us out tonight of the show. Brentley, take us away, sir.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the DJ Roundtable. Don't forget to like the channel and subscribe and all that good stuff on all the social media outlets, and tune in next week. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Good night, everyone.